Picture this. It is the dead of night, midnight to be exact. You're sitting completely alone at a desk in a highly classified military control room. It's dead quiet. And then, out of nowhere, every single alarm in the building goes off at exactly the same time. Red lights are spinning, sirens are just blaring in your ears. Every monitor in front of you is frantically flashing. You look at your primary screen, and it's telling you one absolutely horrifying thing. 5 nuclear missiles have just been launched from the United States, and they are heading right toward your country. You are literally the very first person to see this. Now, this isn't a movie script. This isn't some training drill. This actually happened.
So, what do you do when you have exactly 4 minutes before World War III begins? Because, well, that's exactly how long you have. You've got 4 minutes to pick up the phone, report this to your superiors, and trigger a full, irreversible nuclear counterattack. 4 minutes before the literal apocalypse. The man sitting in that chair, staring at those screens, made a decision that quite literally saved every single person alive on this planet today. His name was Stanislav Petrov, and crazy enough, almost nobody knows who he is. In this explainer, we're going to walk through exactly how close we all came to total annihilation.
Section 1. The 1983 Geopolitical Tinderbox. Okay, to really understand what was going through this guy's head, we have to look at the world in 1983. The Cold War was at its absolute peak. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in this incredibly tense standoff, where both sides had thousands, literally thousands of nuclear warheads pointed directly at each other. And they were on a hair-trigger alert. The entire military doctrine of the era was built on mutually assured destruction, or MAD. It was basically a grim promise: if one side attacks, both are completely annihilated. This meant there was absolutely zero margin for error. Everyone knew that a single spark could just end civilization.
And 1983 wasn't just another year in the Cold War. It was arguably the most dangerous year of all. Tensions were just spiraling totally out of control, heavily fueled by deep paranoia and mistrust on both sides. In early 1983, US President Ronald Reagan publicly dubbed the Soviet Union an evil empire. So the rhetoric was incredibly heated. Then, just 3 weeks before our midnight alarm, a tragic disaster completely shattered any remaining trust. The Soviet military accidentally shot down a Korean passenger plane that had strayed into their airspace, resulting in the deaths of 269 people. Because of this geopolitical climate, both superpowers were absolutely convinced the other was preparing a preemptive strike. They genuinely expected an attack to happen on any given day.
The world was quite literally a tinderbox, and on that night, someone dropped a match. I really want you to keep this context in mind because it's absolutely crucial to this entire explanation. When an early warning alarm goes off in a climate where both sides are basically just waiting for the end of the world, you don't assume it's a technical glitch. No way. You assume it is the doomsday scenario you've been preparing for.
Section 2. 5 nuclear missiles detected.
All right, let's go back to September 26, 1983. It's 12:15 a.m. Moscow time. We're at Surfikov 15, which is this secret early warning facility in a bunker just outside Moscow. Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov, a 44-year-old officer, is on duty. His job is strictly to monitor a brand new satellite detection system. And then, the alarm triggers. One missile. The system flags a single inbound U.S. nuclear warhead. The system status flashes launch, and the confidence level reads highest. Just imagine the heart-stopping panic in that moment. The protocol he was trained on is completely rigid. You see a launch, you report it immediately. But before Petrov can even pick up the phone, the situation just violently escalates. The alarm triggers again. A second missile, then a third, a fourth, and finally a fifth. 5 nuclear warheads are now confirmed by the computer, all rocketing straight toward the Soviet Union. There are 200 men under Petrov's command in this bunker, and the room just erupts into absolute chaos. Sirens are deafening, officers are shouting, every single screen is glowing blood red. 4 minutes. In the middle of all this screaming and flashing lights, Stanislav Petrov has exactly 4 minutes. The Soviet High Command is waiting for his call. If he makes that call, the Soviet Union will launch hundreds of missiles in retaliation, America will fire back, and, well, humanity is essentially over. The ticking clock is deafening.
Section 3. 4 minutes to decide.
So Petrov is facing an agonizing dilemma. On one hand, this brand new, highly advanced satellite system is screaming, "Launch!" with the highest possible confidence. It is absolutely certain. But on the other hand, the physical ground radar is showing absolutely nothing. No physical evidence of missiles in the sky whatsoever. The computers are telling you that you're going to die, but your eyes on the radar are saying the sky is clear. What do you do?
Well, instead of panicking, he applied some incredible rapid-fire logic.
First off, the satellite system was brand new and totally unproven in a real-world scenario. He just didn't fully trust it. Second, and this is the really vital strategic deduction here, if the United States were actually starting a nuclear war, they wouldn't launch just 5 missiles. They would launch thousands in a massive, overwhelming first strike. 5 missiles simply didn't make strategic sense. And third, of course, the ground radar still showed zero physical evidence.
Carrying the weight of 8 billion future lives on his shoulders, this man with no geopolitical authority, a man who wasn't a politician or a top-ranking general, made a choice. He chose to trust his human gut over the machine. He picked up the phone to his superiors and said, "This is a false alarm." He reported a system malfunction, explicitly defying the very protocol that demanded he report a nuclear strike. And then, he just sat there and waited to see if he was right or if the world was quite literally about to end.
Section 4. The Uncelebrated Savior.
He was right. It wasn't a nuclear attack. It actually turned out to be an incredibly rare freak alignment of sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds directly into the satellite sensors, which created a false reading. Petrov's instinct saved the world. Now, you'd think the man who saved humanity would be showered with medals, right? Parades, the whole shebang. Instead, he was reprimanded, embarrassed, and retired. Why? Because by trusting his gut and reporting a malfunction, Petrov exposed a catastrophic flaw in the Soviet Union's most highly classified, expensive early warning system. It was a massive embarrassment to the military establishment. They didn't want to celebrate him, they wanted the problem to just quietly go away. He was officially reprimanded for not filing his logbooks properly that night, and soon after, he was pressured into early retirement.
For 15 years, almost no one knew what he did. From 1983 all the way to 1998, the man who saved the world lived in total obscurity. His wife fell ill, he struggled immensely with finances, living in near poverty in a tiny apartment just outside Moscow. The world kept spinning, totally oblivious to the fact that it only existed because of him. It wasn't until 1998 that the classified records finally leaked and the public actually learned the truth about September 26, 1983.
Section 5. A Legacy of Survival. Once the story broke, the world slowly woke up to what had happened. Late in his life, Stanislav Petrov finally received some of the recognition he actually deserved. He was invited to the United Nations, he was awarded the Dresden Peace Prize, and he was celebrated globally. But you know what's so striking about Petrov? It's his humility. Whenever reporters would ask him how it felt to be the man who saved the world, he would just wave them off and say, "I was just doing my job." He genuinely never viewed himself as a hero. He just saw himself as a guy who used common sense on a really, really bad night. He passed away quietly in 2017 at the age of 77.
I really want you to think about this for a second. Every single life born after 1983, every piece of music written, every scientific discovery, every invention, every memory you have ever made, all of modern human history entirely hinges on the fact that one guy, sitting in a dark bunker, decided not to follow the rules. He looked at a flashing screen telling him the end was here, and he had the sheer courage to say, "I don't think this is real."
I'll leave you with this final thought. How fragile is our history if it all came down to one man trusting his gut? It is honestly terrifying to think about how incredibly thin the line is between our everyday existence and total annihilation. The most important moment in modern history wasn't some famous battle, it wasn't an election, and it wasn't a peace treaty. It was a man completely alone in a room with 4 minutes to decide our fate. If you found this explainer as fascinating as I did, and if you think more people should know the name Stanislav Petrov, please share this. Because understanding our history and the quiet heroes who preserved it is for sure the best way to protect our future. Thanks so much for watching.